This is the Scary Movie Clubcast.
Live from the clubhouse, it's a Scary Movie Clubcast. And this is Amanda,
Nadine,
and Dahmer.
Dahmer is our special guest here with us for this season. She's a good friend of the club, has been since day one.
She's part of the club, just hasn't been on the clubcast.
Yeah.
She likes her anonymity.
So we have Dahmer here because Megan and Mackenzie were just a little too busy with work to make it today, so we had a little special guest going to be joining us to help fill in some of the gaps this season.
Sweet little baby angel stepping up to the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you.
This evening, we're going to do a movie review of The Conjuring. So good.
Yeah.
All right, and we're going to go over to Nadine here for a summary of the movie.
Basically, this movie is really cool. It's about some very special ghost hunting couple that we love, named the Warrens. There are horror movie couple goals, basically.
So cute.
Yeah, and they just go around helping people that are being haunted and possessed and just terrorized all over. And the family that they help in this one is the Perron family, and it's very good. It's a basic plot summary.
Thank you for that summary, Nadine. We're going to throw it over to Dahmer over here for our fun facts for the movie.
Okay, so there's a lot of really crazy things that happen during this movie.
I'm excited.
First, I'm just going to go into a little of the little statistics. I guess they're not actually statistics. Factual facts.
Factual facts. I love it.
Those are the kind we like.
Okay, so the film broke box office records, and it brought in a total of $41 million.
Deserved it.
During the opening weekend.
Not too shabby.
Yeah,
nice.
So it stands as the third highest grossing opening weekend for an R-rated horror film, behind Paranormal Activity and Hannibal. And it made a total of $137 million in, I think, domestic box office, just in the U.S. And for its year, in 2013, it was the 19th highest grossing film. So, yeah, I don't know how many films were released in 2013, but, probably, I would assume a lot.
Not bad for a horror movie. And a rated R one, too.
Yeah.
And speaking of it being rated R, so the film is full of it's really tame. Kind of like Nadine actually in the middle of the movie noted that there's a lady whose wrists are slit, and she went, there's a surprising lack of blood. So the film, it's really tame on content. You say there's nothing sexual in it.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, no, I know.
All we want to do is see Ed Warren's butt.
I know.
It's nice.
Okay.
Missed opportunity.
I mean, we rewinded.
It's already R.
We rewinded a few times to try to get a better look, and it wasn't
the first
working
look
out.
was the best.
I'm getting the
should've-
one.
should've
Should have gone back.
So yeah, nothing sexual. There's not hardly any gore.
I want to say something about the gore, but I want you to continue at the same time.
No, just say it.
Well, the first time I ever watched this movie was with Danny when we were living at college in Idaho. And we watched, an edited version, and, the only thing we took out was gore. Because I was like, I'm not taking out the scary stuff, because that's, the only thing it's really rated R for. Mm-hmm. And it's, the only scene that gets taken out is that part where blood is vomited into her mouth, and the part where she vomits blood out of her body.
Which, in all fairness, when the blood got vomited into her mouth,
That
were
was
like,
disgusting. It was
I was
disgusting,
laughing. I
but
think
it
it's
wasn't
funny.
gory.
Any vomit just, ugh.
The reason it got its R rating was because people who were in charge of that, the MPAA, were like, it's too scary. Well, they were like, you can't promote that as this is something for 13-year-olds to watch. And so it's kind of argued that it probably would have been, the highest grossing. It would have brought in a ton more money if it had been PG-13.
Oh my gosh.
Of
Of course, yes.
Yeah. Also, I just think rating something an R for, just the pure horror of it is,
It's such a dumb...
Because I've seen, this isn't the only one that I've seen that's, predominantly rated R for, terrifying situations. There are others that I've seen that were not scary at all. This one, I do find very scary and found extremely scary when I first saw it.
I jumped a lot.
I personally did not find this movie scary. It doesn't, I liked it. I found it to be an enjoyable movie. I think there were, a couple parts that were scary, but I wasn't scared.
It definitely built up. It had a lot of build up for some moments, and you're like, oh, don't go into the basement.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh, I'll never get over the clappy hands.
I know,
The
gets
ones
me.
when they come out of the wardrobe.
Yeah, gets me
No,
every time. No. At
When
the top
she's
of the
there with the
stairs.
lighter and she's looking down, and all of a sudden it's just next to her with. You're like,
Yeah, no, that gets me every time. Okay. So the production, they scouted a number of like farmhouses to shoot this movie at, and they end up finding this house out in North Carolina, which gets featured in it. But they only filmed the exterior of the home. The interior of the home is somewhere completely else, in a different part of North Carolina. Okay, but part that makes that crazy to me.
This house is in North Carolina?
Yeah.
Is the tree there?
Okay, the tree also fake.
Yeah, totally fabricated.
Totally
fair enough.
You're not gonna
Yeah, of
see
course.
the shape is too
Too
good,
weird,
too creepy,
yeah.
and too perfect.
Okay, the film is shot in chronological order,
Oh, interesting.
which to me, I feel like if you have two set locations, kind of annoying.
Yeah, you were not wrong.
it's not It's like not a common thing to do. I don't feel.
Because there were definitely scenes where they went from inside to outside, and I'm like, oh, so you had to go a little ways. I don't know exactly how far apart these two locations are, but
Well, yeah, because you got the Warren's house, you got the house, and you got the motel.
yeah. But even just every time they'd be like, and the next scene is outside, it'd be like, oh, so we're taking a little drive. Okay, so the movie was originally going to be told from the perspective of the Perron family. But when the Hayes brothers, who were called in to help like review the script and help work on it, they decided to have it framed from the perspective of the Warrens.
Smart
and that
move.
ended up being very smart.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean, they made a whole series out of these movies because of the Warren stories.
It's a flat
Yes.
out franchise.
Yes,
Yeah.
actually, the original name for The Conjuring was going to be like The Warren Files.
Ooh.
Probably after the Hayes brothers came in, you know, and we're like,
They're
the
like-
Warrens.
We thinking ahead.
Yeah. So the real Perron family came and visited the set of the film. Yeah, and they said that like it was as close to the real home as possible.
Oh wow.
So the Perron family is probably like, So when the real life Perrons visited the set location, they felt a cool wind whip through the set. They also noticed that the intense sudden draft did not move or shake any trees.
Nope.
Yeah, no, you got a nope right out of there. Because you've already lived this. Have you learned nothing?
They're like, "Well, I'm out."
Gross. Same time, so the mother of the Perron family claimed to have felt the same strange dark presence, similar to when she first experienced the occurrences depicted in the film. And then she later tripped and suffered some wounds, which put her in the hospital.
Oh,
In the
what?
hospital?
That is crazy. In the hospital.
Yeah, I mean, could be unrelated, but then you have to really think. You'd be like, I would be like I'd be like, oh my gosh, everything now is related to this event in my life. Okay, so the Perron house, the one that they moved into, 8 generations of families had lived and died in the house before the Perrons moved in. So, and then Andrea Perron suggested that some of the spirits from the families never left. So the deaths included 2 documented suicides, a poisoning death, a rape and a murder of an 11-year-old girl, 2 drownings, and the passing of 4 men who froze to death.
What?
And most of these deaths occurred within like the same family. So it's called the
That
Arnold
is
family,
Crazy.
from which Bathsheba Sherman was descended. So
That is
yeah,
wild. That's a lot of
and
people to die.
the state.
4 grown men
And so many
died from
different-
freezing to
In
death.
so many different ways.
Yes.
Was the house not there? I
Here,
don't-
the state of Rhode Island does not require home sellers to disclose documented histories of a location's criminal activity, let alone alleged paranormal and supernatural hauntings to potential buyers, which is why the Perrons were completely unaware of like any of
Yeah.
the history.
Enjoy your murder house.
Have fun with your hell home, sir. Did you know, apparently in Virginia, it's illegal to not disclose that your house is haunted.
Ooh, that's kind of fun.
I don't know how
Who
you would.
determines that
I
it's
know. I don't know.
haunted?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I think maybe if anyone just reports it being
Maybe if it's
haunted,
well
I don't know,
documented.
yeah.
You know,
Or
that
if
you
someone
can
writes
get
a book
sued.
about it, or
I would just say, essentially what I'm saying is, like, if you were trying to take the person to court over that, what is the burden of proof that you have to
I
bring to
know,
be, like,
I know.
haunted?
Yeah, I don't know. Unsure. That's just what I heard. So I'm gonna pass that along. This one's kind of crazy. So when the movie was shown in the
So
Philippines,
if you ever move, then you gotta tell them about the ghost cat.
oh, the ghost cat.
cat.
Man, ghost cat, you're making life real hard.
So when the movie was shown in the Philippines, some of the cinemas had Catholic priests on standby to bless the viewers before showing it. And that's because some of the viewers reported a negative presence or feeling, and they started feeling like a little like weird or like sickened by it. So like priests would provide spiritual and psychological help to the viewers.
Yeah, I had a friend from the Philippines who I knew pretty well, and she told me about, like, some of the crazy stuff that happens there, and, like, people are generally, like, pretty superstitious and, like, more into that old world stuff, and there's, like, possessions and things are, like, kind of normal.
And also a very religious country.
Yes.
Yeah. Or I was like, oh, interesting.
If anything, mostly what I'm surprised about is that the priests weren't standing there being like, don't go in. Don't do it.
I know. People were like, please bless me, but I'm still going to go watch the movie.
I've just heard the cinematography's so good. I can't miss it.
Okay, so the actors who played the Warrens, Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga. Okay, so they both traveled to Connecticut to meet the real Lorraine Warren prior to filming so that they could, they're real dedicated to, like, researching their role for acting. And Vera said that, like, she wanted to get Lorraine's, like, hand gestures, smiling, the way she moved through space, just, like, down. Which, I don't know, kind of cool. The Hayes brothers and Lorraine, who, is, of course, a real-life demonologist, they would, like, talk on the phone to discuss the script and go over a few things. And they kept getting cut off by weird sounds and a lot of static. And then out of nowhere, the line would just go dead.
Spooky,
That's
spooky.
weird for the time that they were doing it.
I know, and be like, But of course, I feel like, assuming all of the stuff that the Warrens worked on is, like, legitimate, there's probably cases that probably are kind of baggage from, like, other instances that she's been, like, experiencing. So, you never know where that's from.
They got all that stuff in their house.
I know, right? Not a safe. I wouldn't want to. I'd be like, let me raise my daughter next to these demon objects.
That definitely needs to be in a building off the property.
Okay, actually, so Lorraine Warren is in The Conjuring.
Wait, what?
Why
didn't you point it out?
She's in when Carolyn goes and listens to Warren's presentation. The real Lorraine Warren is an elderly woman in the front row of the classroom. Haha, Easter egg. Okay, so super interesting. But the director, James, I'm just gonna include it, the director, James Wan, he modeled all the cinematography and, like, atmosphere. He really wanted it to be, like, 1970s.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, which of course makes sense, right?
It was.
Yeah, it ended up looking great. So, yeah, they built a tree.
Big sick, right?
Climbed a
Tree, bro.
on your resume. The real Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren, they investigated the Perones' farmhouse in 1973 and in 1974. In the original case, they ended up getting kicked out of the house as they were not able to help the Perones.
What happened to the Perones?
Well, apparently they're still alive because they wrote.
Well, yeah.
The mom wrote a book, like 3 books about it.
You gotta.
It's called like House of Darkness.
Dude, I gotta know what these books.
I know, like, how did it end? I know.
I know, because you're okay.
Right.
So.
And the movie doesn't explain it because it, goes a little into fiction there where it's like the Warrens fix it.
We need to do, like, a scary movie book club.
Yeah.
Also, people just need to give us money so that we can have time to read books.
Of course we know this, but the real Annabelle doll is actually a used Raggedy Ann doll, and it totally was known for, like, leaving parchment notes and, like, doing crazy. But what's not included in this movie is the doll. It attacked one of the owner's friends, Lou, left huge claw marks in him.
Yeah, I didn't like that boy.
Like a demon.
Okay. It's like, this is a girl's apartment.
Girls only.
Yeah.
When the plushy Raggedy Ann has claws, that's a sign something's wrong.
Yeah, I know.
It's got these little button eyes and it has demon hands.
Wow.
It's a kitty cat.
I would love for it goes to go.
And you're like, I mean, you can stay, I guess. That was kind of good. Oh, yeah, so the movie is based on, of course, the actual events that the Perone family experienced. It was, like, the idea for making a movie about it started when, when Ed Warren played a tape of his interview with Carolyn Perone to producer Tony DeRosa Grund. Yeah.
I want to see this tape.
I know, right? Maybe we should look this up.
I know. Can we see this tape?
Link. This movie was in the works for about 20 years.
Oh, too long.
Yeah.
Give up.
Yeah. I think like mostly just on the planning, the writing, the script things. And maybe it's just I know there was like a fight for like who got to produce it and things like that. And so part of the issue. Okay, so the director, James Wan, he was working on the script one night late in his home. He had just adopted a new puppy who just started staring at like an empty side of the room.
Nope.
And started like growling like aggressively and was like, not having a good time. And one stated that his dog's head then followed something across the room, but he didn't see anything. Writing the script for this and you're like, oh gosh, it's coming for me.
Spooky.
I'd be such an easy scare target if I was writing like a script that was scary.
About something you believe actually happened. Yeah. And maybe it's unclear, like maybe he's already like talked to
The Warren.
like some people like involved in the case. You don't know. Which would make me extra suspicious of whatever that dog's doing. I'm like, have a friend stay over. But so there's this composer, Joseph Bishara, who scored one of James Wan's like films. Mm-hmm. He also plays a demon figure for Wan. And
movie?
Yeah. And so I think in this movie, he portrayed the demon embodiment of Bathsheba Sherman. And he previously had played a lipstick-faced demon in Insidious.
Oh, the red-faced one.
Yeah, and so back to this book thing. So Andrea Perron, who I guess is not the mother,
One of the
daughters, I have to assume, wrote a 3-part book based on her experiences in the house. And they were called House of Darkness, House of Light.
So scratch what we said before.
Yeah, and so experiences that she wrote about in the book appear in the film. I mean, that would make sense.
Well, yeah.
Which one?
Rohn cited the film as a work of art and not a work of fiction.
Huh.
So she seemed to think it was
nice.
pretty accurate to her experience. Yeah, so this is just kind of interesting. So the scene where the Warrens showed the students footage of an exorcism in the auditorium, the priest is played by this dude named George Zervos, and he's a chair of the philosophy and religion department at the University of North Carolina.
Oh.
Wilmington. Important dude in philosophy and religion. He's like, I want to be a part of this weird exorcism video.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, it's the first film in the Conjuring universe. There's a whole bunch of them after that. Two more Conjuring films, 3 Annabelle films, The Nun, The Curse of La Llorona. A 3rd Conjuring film is scheduled for release in 2020.
Yeah, it's in the works.
I did not know that.
That's why we picked this movie.
Oh, really? Okay, so the current inhabitants of the real Perron's old home, the place where all of this stuff took place, sued the movie producers. They had been living there for over 25 years, and because of the movie, have been targets of tourism, vandals, and like they find weird like objects linked to satanic cults left over their place. There have been trespassers, interlopers all over the place. And they sued the movie producers because they failed to notify them of their plans for the movie. So all of a sudden, there's this movie out about their house, and they're like, whoa, 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 and there's people from all over coming to, like, their home, and they're like, stay back, we've lived here for, like, over 2 decades. Back off.
Yeah,
this is our family home now.
It's kind of similar to what happened to the Amityville house when the Amityville Horror came out originally in the 70s. Is, like, people just come by all the time, including my mom. She was one of them.
What are you gonna do? You're in New York. You're not gonna go?
It's right there on Long Island. That's where she lived. But yeah, to the point where they had to change the windows that were famous because they look like they make the house look like it has eyes and they're super creepy. So they changed the windows from like these like quarter circle shape to like just square.
Yeah, I'd be super mad if someone decided to make my home into a horror movie.
Shouldn't have lived in a haunted house. I don't know what to tell you.
But I wonder if these people didn't know, though, because, again, they don't have to disclose. So all of a sudden, this movie's out there, and they're like, what?
Yeah, might be able to sell it for a profit, though.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
Yeah.
Also, this is my last fact. Ryan Reynolds is technically in The Conjuring.
Wait, what?
Not as an actor. So he's a frontman for an indie rock duo, Dead Man's Bones, and one of their songs called In the Room Where You Sleep shows up halfway through the movie, so you can hear his voice.
Dead Man's
That's so weird. Because that's also weird, because Ryan Reynolds is in the Amityville Horror remake.
Man,
Is he?
what are you naming a pirate ship. Man's voice.
Maybe they wear
Yeah,
pirate outfits.
What song was it? Like I
It's
wish
called.
I could remember.
It's called "In the Room Where You Sleep," and
Sing
apparently
it.
you can
Sing
hear
it,
his.
Lena.
Okay. Ah. Okay. No, I'm kidding. No, and apparently like you can hear his voice, and it's like overlaid with one of the soundtracks, and it shows up like I think like 120 minutes into the film. There's your little fun facts for the movie.
That is fun. So let's go over our favorite parts. Nadine, do you want to go first?
His booty.
We didn't
Whose
even
booty?
see
Whose
it
booty?
that well.
And Warren's.
It was nice.
No, that was our joke. Our running joke the whole movie. Is that we were making jokes about his butt. Our friend Dahmer, when we were all on the phone the other day talking about all this and what we were going to be recording and doing, she randomly goes, "Oh yeah, he has a really nice butt," and we were all like, "Does he?" and then we're watching it, and I was like, "Oh, he does," and she didn't even remember saying it. She was like, "What?"
I said that.
Classic Dahmer.
My favorite part is when I like the really long continuous shot because I think it's just like I think the cinematography is so good in this movie, and then also the clap scene when she's at the top of the stairs gets me. Like, it's so creepy. It was like the creepiest scene when I first watched it. I was like,
I'm just saying that whole game as a concept is very creepy.
indeed.
That's definitely I feel like a game. I don't know if you guys have ever like tried to research like on Reddit and stuff games you can play with ghosts. That definitely seems like a game that might be put out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it. Do not play games with ghosts.
No, do not. That's
communicate with the
like
ghosts.
and especially most of the games with ghosts, they're like you have to be alone. I'm like screw that.
I'm like, nope.
What we're not doing.
You know what I endorse? Ignoring ghosts. Just pretending they're not there.
Besides, if I'm alone, which one of my friends is going to be actually doing the things but making me think it's a ghost? Come on.
I know.
That's the way to lose the game.
All right, Dahmer, what was your favorite part?
Okay, it ends up being a favorite in a lot of these ghost movies, but I love the part where they're putting together the team and they're setting up in the house and they're putting together like these are where all the, like if there's movement like the cameras will flash and they're putting that all and then like weird things kind of starting to happen. Those are like my favorite kinds of things because like just the anticipation of everyone's like, is this real? Is this not? And they're putting together all the evidence. I love it.
Least favorite parts. Okay, Nadine, what was your least favorite part?
Probably just the relationship between the parent couple because I like that actor. Like I genuinely don't have any problem with him, but in every role that I ever see him in, he never really seems attracted to the woman that he's supposed to be with. And I'm always like, oh, you don't seem like you're like in this.
I wonder if that's like just like his face and it's like natural like resting facial expression. It's like just doesn't seem into anything.
I would love to see him like interact with like his real life partner. Whoever it is.
That would be interesting. Do you have a least favorite part, Dahmer?
Well, I don't like, I don't know, I feel like the whole part with like the exorcism, one, it's one of those things I think where you get to the culmination of a movie and you already know who the bad guy is, you know what's happening, and so it's just like a bunch of this craziness going on and you're like, oh my gosh, get it done. But also, he kept stopping speaking and I'm like, she looks up and he stops. I'm like, that's not a good sign. Keep going. Like, it's not done.
I'm going to say my least favorite part is any part with vomiting in it. I just really hate vomiting. I hate it in movies. I don't know why I need to see it all the time. I feel like
All the time. How often are you seeing it?
so much. It's in so many movies and TV shows, and I'm like, why are you doing this to me? No one likes this. Like, you can just, like, do the sound and someone, like, its head in a toilet, and I can understand that they're vomiting. Yeah. Or, like, I don't need to see it come out of their body.
Like,
it's unnecessary.
They're like, that's the whole point, is to upset you.
It makes me... So, what do we think of the plot? Because I think it was pretty good. Pretty solid.
Pretty solid. Yeah. I think, honestly, what probably helped is that they ended up... Because it's based on a story and they tried to use so many facts, that's what I think, like, helped it feel supernatural. You know? That's what... I mean, we made a comment in the middle of... the movie about when they're explaining to the Warrens all this stuff going on. They're like, yeah, all this stuff's going on. And they're like, oh, shoot. Like, and a lot of elements to it, just the way that it progressed ended up feeling more natural than I think a lot of other movies.
Yeah. I agree with that. I would say the only thing that I probably would change about the plot, like, if it were me doing it for no reason, I would change the dog. I think that the dog dies too soon. I think that gets written off because it's right in the beginning and it just happens too fast. Like, I think that you should, like, build up to that. Like, I would have done, like, the clocks, the pictures, and then the dog.
Yeah, I felt like no connection to the dog. I honestly forgot that there was a dog until I read it. I'm like, what? Oh, yeah, there was a dog.
Because he dead early on.
Yeah,
he doesn't make it through night 1, right? Or, like, night 2?
There's, like, 2 scenes with the dog. And then the dog, one of those scenes is where the dog's dead. So,
So that's all I would have changed.
Yeah, I actually like the way they told the story, like starting from I think it was smart to start with this Warren's perspective and start with Annabelle and then like kind of like, I don't know, come back around to this family and... Yeah,
even though I will say, like Dahmer mentioned while we were watching, it can feel a little disconnected, the Annabelle part. So I can kind of see that, but I do agree. I liked it.
Right.
I have no problem with it. I can see it.
Yeah, I really liked it. And I feel like it's also, going back to the Warrens, it's a really nice break. Because sometimes I think you can get a little fatigued with a plot. You know, it's you're sitting through a whole long movie. So you're just like, oh, this family, and just this family. And so, like, having little bits of the Warrens in their different cases was a nice break for your attention.
I think it also gives you, like, a certain amount of trust in the Warrens. Because you're like, oh, their experience. Like, maybe things will work out well. What is our favorite scares of the movie?
Oh, that clap.
I know. Gets me. Oh, the part for me is when it just, I don't like it because it's just so much stress and so much tension just happening all at once is when Lorraine Warren falls down that chute and then everything just hits the fan. Like, there's, like, ghosts everywhere. It gives me so much, like, tense anxiety. I'm like...
She falls so long, too.
I know. And then she's down there. It's just like, there's a ghost, there's a ghost, there's a ghost, there's a ghost.
I think one that gave me the most stress, though, was when it was, like, the thing behind the door. And I'm like,
because you can't see it.
It's just black, but because you can't see it, it's like your imagination goes wild.
Well, and the sound person, I feel like, did a really good job. Where, like, there's music in the right places, and then there's silence in the right places. And that silence can get you more than the sounds.
I need something behind my back.
We're creeping ourselves out just talking about it.
So for me personally, ghost movies just usually aren't a trigger. Like, it's not that scary to me. So the only part that really scares me, and it just gets me in general, is the part when the guy calls out for no reason, oh, the little girl's trapped under the kitchen floor. And then she starts going for her, and I'm like, like, someone save this child!
So stressful.
Oh, no. And I hate crawling scenes.
Oh my gosh,
when you're trying to escape by crawling through things and there's all these close calls, I'm like, ugh!
Yeah, and you can't move very fast when you're crawling. It's like the dreams where you're running and you can't run fast. You're so slow.
I feel stressed right now.
I know, but okay, a little levity time. Favorite laughs. I like the part with the cop when he goes to the bathroom and they're like, and he's like, what?
Yeah. Part when the ghost starts grabbing the one girl's hair and her sister's like, Nancy.
It wasn't a big part in the movie, but when there's like all of that crazy stuff in the basement with the exorcism going on, and the cop just sort of like tugs and like takes off his tie in this one moment, for some reason just gets me. He's like, you know what? Now is not the time for this uniform.
I need the mobility that only an open collar can provide.
Extra breathing air, you know?
I also like the part where the Warren's like young assistant and then the oldest daughter like are kind of flirting. It's like kind of cute.
Cute.
You're like, oh, hey.
I know. This movie has some romance vibes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, cute ghost hunting couple.
Cute intern boy.
Weird intern, yeah.
Nothing wrong with him. Cute dad of the family.
Well, yeah. Aside from the lack of a relationship with his wife, I mean, he was a good dad.
I mean, he's doing his best. He's a long haul trucker. He's away a lot, you know.
Oh man, how about when she gets locked in the basement? Sorry, we forgot to mention that under scares, but that was a pretty decent one. When she's like, "I'm locking you down here." Slam.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I know, her being trapped in there for so long in the dark too. I don't like anything to do with stairs, things in the dark. I'd be like, I think I would genuinely just like throw up and die.
Yeah, basement
Sorry, Amanda.
scares. sorry, basement stairs are like the worst too because like
Grabs
they're
you.
like so rickety and there's always like holes in them for like
Yes.
grabby hands.
There's a story in like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark about something that'll like reach through like those
Nope.
kinds of stairs to grab your ankles.
don't like.
Yeah, I don't like those kind of stairs. They stress me out.
Same.
But honestly, they stress me out not because I'm afraid of grabbing. I mean, maybe with basement ones I would be, but they stress me out because I'm afraid of heights. And it always blows my mind that people say that they're afraid of heights, but then they're only afraid of like being like 200 feet off the ground. I'm afraid if I'm 6 feet off the ground. I'm like, this would hurt if I fell from here.
Yeah.
Oh, the only other thing that I laughed at, but it's not like a comical part and no one else laughs, but I think it's funny when the ghost vomits into her mouth.
Oh,
I
it's
laugh.
disgusting.
Just because she like hovers over and then she's like,
A little mama birding there.
yeah, when she mama birds her spirit right into her. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, so we all really like the movie. I think we should go with the booties.
Booty!
Booty.
Booties went out! We almost were gonna rank this on claps, but we have decided to go with booties.
Also, if anyone can find a great image of his booty, find a way to send it to the Scary Movie Club podcast.
Clothed, ideally.
Yeah, with
I
clothing. I mean, we
Dahmer,
prefer.
Okay.
Whoa. We don't need people sending us porn.
I'm open to anything.
Please do not send naked pictures to the clubcast.
That's not what we want. Ever. All right, so we all really enjoy this movie, and I'm going to rate it. I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5 Ed Warren booties.
Fair. I do really like it. Like, I'm not usually one for these kinds of movies. And honestly, this one was a little tough for me in particular because the first time that we ever watched it, we watched all of the Conjuring series that weekend. We called it Conjurathon, and we made t-shirts, and it was too much, and I was overwhelmed. But after rewatching it especially, I'm like, no, this is a really good movie. I would give it 4 out of 5 booties.
Yeah, and that was when there was only like 3 Conjuring movies.
It
or
felt like a
4,
lot.
maybe. Like
I feel
two
like it was 4.
2 Conjuring and
Yeah, because the
2
nun
Annabelle.
wasn't out yet.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Don't
How
mind
many
it.
booties, Dahmer?
I don't know. I might compromise 4.5 out of 5
Oh.
booties. It's a very good movie.
So just like one less cheek.
9 cheeks.
Yeah. 9 cheeks.
We're gonna make available the Conjurathon t-shirt design for you to make because we ain't making them.
But so Amanda made the art because she's amazing.
Yeah.
And so we're going to make a little video for you guys and show you how we made our Conjurathon t-shirts based on Amanda's art. And we're going to put up the art so that you can make your own Conjurathon t-shirts. What?
It's way easier than you'd ever think.
Yeah, crazy easy. You'll become addicted if you're like Nadine.
If you're real crafty.
All right, and you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram to find that. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Scary Movie Clubcast. And we'll see you next movie night. And don't forget that there are 89 days until Halloween. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
She likes her anonymity. Anonymity. What is the word?
Anonymity?
No.
Interpretate.
Yeah, don't interpret me.
Kill me. How do we start this? I don't even remember how we do anything. Who am I?
Unprepared. Not even one. It didn't take us 20 takes to be ready for this.
Where is it? Why am I stupid?
Could you imagine if someone erased it?
They're dead to me. Okay, there, I found it.
It was just the first line.
Did you find it though?
So, we didn't decide who was going to do the movie summary. We didn't prepare at all. We're going to stop real quick.
Especially because she slid him the right way and everything.
Right.
Not
So
that no one.
Don't. There is no right way to slit your wrist. Don't do it. All the ways are the wrong ways.
I was just going with it. I'm like, correct.
120 minutes, halfway in.
I don't know. It was something like that. Somewhere in the I didn't say math was my forte, okay? You're right, 120 minutes is 2 hours.
That's halfway. That's the halfway mark.
We watched a 4-hour-long Conjuring.
And we will see you next movie night. And don't forget that there are... Oh, no. We'll see you next movie night. And don't forget that there are 9... We'll see you next...
Jeez, 50 times.
Shut up. And we'll see you next... Nadine!
I will not take the blame for your 2 mistakes and my 1 laugh.
Can in the bloopers it just be you doing this over and over and over again?